You guys come over, I like Snickers or yeah, about Snickers. I take about 3 bags of Snickers.
Happy Halloween! It's week 9 of the high school football season. We're recapping last week's biggest games, including Mansfield's historic win against Booneville, 44 years in the making, Bentonville smashing the Rogers Mounties, and Farmington's 78-75 victory over Morrilton.
Woo!
This is Prep Rally.
You're watching the Prep Rally Podcast.
Welcome to the Prep Rally Podcast, sponsored by West Termite Pest and Lawn. Graham Thomas and Jim McMahon, or Mike Ditka over there, also
Dick
known
Butkus.
as Dick Butkus, also
My
known
man,
as
Dick
Ricky
Butkus.
Fires, here at the Northwest Arkansas Democrat-Gazette Studios. And Leland Barclay joins us in the River Valley. Gentlemen, it's the last week of October. Happy Halloween to you guys. Rick, you're all dressed for the part, so am I. We're all set to go, and Leland's down there in the River Valley with his All-Star shirt on.
Now I'm all dressed up. Now I'm just waiting for it. So when you guys come over, I like Snickers or yeah, about Snickers. I take about 3 bags of Snickers.
I go for the Reese's Pieces. How about you, Leland?
I'm a Snickers guy.
Yeah, with the Snickers, it's almost the perfect thing. You got the chocolate, you got the peanuts, you got the protein, the caramel, the nougat. I mean, it's just,
occasionally a Baby Ruth.
You're a little hostile when you're hungry, and it's true. I mean, the Snickers just,
It so eases you.
But, the Reese's peanut butter cups, I have to inspect every one of those to make sure they're not harmful and take my share. No, guys, as I said in the intro, it's week 9 of the high school football season. It's also a really busy week in Northwest Arkansas and in the River Valley. We've got places to be and people to see, so let's get to it. Leland, it's Gimme 5 time, so let's roll, man.
These are the top 5 performances of the past week in the River Valley. Of course, we always start with number 1, the River Valley Democrat Player of the Week, Daniel Burton of Mansfield. Rushed for 155 yards on 14 carries and 2 touchdowns in Mansfield's, like you said, historic 34-22 win over Booneville at home before a packed house at Tiger Stadium. What an exciting game. What an atmosphere. Just a fantastic performance, really, by both teams. Of course, Booneville led 15-12 at the half. Back and forth game, 6 lead changes. Mansfield finally scored 2 in a row in the fourth quarter and took the 34-22 win.
44 years in the making. I mean, they had not beaten Booneville since 1980. Let's put this in perspective. In 1980, I did not exist. At least I don't think I did. Maybe not yet. We'll see. I was born in 1981, so I did not exist in 1980.
You were in development, maybe.
No, not even then. November 1981.
Okay.
So I couldn't have even been in development. So, but man,
I haven't covered high school sports yet.
I mean, that's a long time, guys. 1980, and what a great win for Mansfield. I know, Rick, you probably had an eye on that one too. I mean, that's just a special win.
Leland picked it. I was going with tradition, and no, Leland nailed it like he often does.
Yep. All right, go ahead, Leland, with the others.
Well, and also, to put it also into perspective, of course, Whit Overton, Mansfield coach, is a Mansfield guy. He also was an assistant coach and the strength coach at Booneville for, I think it was 5 years before he took over at Mansfield. And between Paul Sparks, the head coach at Mansfield in 1980, and now there have been 9 head coaches at Mansfield. Number 2, Kaylor Jasna. We don't mention Greenwood's defense very often. He returned an interception for 44 yards for a touchdown to pace Greenwood to a 21-0 lead at the end of the first quarter. That's his second interception return for a touchdown this season. And of course, Greenwood's offense obviously was rolling too. 63-14 win over Van Buren. Kane Archer now in 5 conference games has 23 touchdown passes and 22 incomplete passes.
Oh, he's creeping up there. He's got to get a few more TD passes to get that number up. The ratio's almost 1-1 there.
Almost. Number 3, Cutler Winters, Lavaca senior quarterback, threw for 94 yards and a touchdown. He also rushed 22 times for 144 yards in Lavaca's 28-22 win over Hackett. That keeps the Golden Arrows in very good position for that 4th spot after the big 3 of Mansfield, Charleston, and Booneville, of course. But Lavaca already has a win over Greenland, so they have positioned themselves very well for that number 4 spot. And then Bryson Moore added 2 touchdowns on the ground as well.
That's a huge
Number
win for the
4,
Golden
Davis
Arrows.
Carter of Spiro, a 2-way guy for them, very important on both sides of the ball. 4 catches for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns in a 28-21 win over Atoka. He also had 15 tackles in that game as the Bulldogs won their 3rd straight game in district play.
Wow, nice win for
And then
Spiro.
number 5, and of course number 5, Pocola keeps rolling. Senior AJ Lyons-Jerrell, another guy who stars on both sides of the ball. He carries the ball. He receives the ball. He's a great defensive player for them. Very important part of their team. 14 carries for 135 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 77-yard touchdown run. He also added a 2-point run in a 50-21 win over Hartshorn that sets a big game up for the Indians against LaFleur County rival Panama on Friday night.
Well, one thing we know about Pocola, they're going to put up plenty of offense. It's just every week, they're putting up huge numbers. So
Well, and Coda Terrell also had a kickoff return for a touchdown. Of course, he's the 6'9" guy that a lot of colleges are looking at, and he had a 69-yard touchdown or a kickoff return or 79-yard touchdown return. And it looked like he probably took about 10 strides.
well, when you're 6'9", I guess you have the luxury of having a long stride. He's a big kid. I've seen him in person down at Media Days back in August.
It kind of reminds me a little bit watching him run how Matt Jones was for Van Buren and Northside back in the late 90s and also 2000.
Yeah. All right, well, Leland, let's roll in right into our River Valley Sports Report, and I know it's a busy week this week because there's at least there's 3 state volleyball tournaments and a cross country conference tournament going on today alone. So let's get on to that.
Well, we're going to stay with football to start off, and of course Mansfield has to now go to Greenland, and those games after a big home win. You kind of wonder about that because Greenland is a team that I still think is very dangerous, and also kind of still vying for that 4th spot in that 3A1. Charleston continued to stay near the top of the 3A1 too with a 36-7 win over Cedarville. That kind of sets up now the Friday night game between Charleston and Booneville for 2nd place, which the number 2 seed from that conference might be in a better position than the number 1 seed in the playoffs as far as the opponents and the trips. And also, how about Sallisaw, 14-7 win over rival Poto on Friday night in overtime. Sallisaw had 107 yards before their final drive of regulation when they blocked a punt and then scored with 26 seconds left to tie it and send it into overtime. And then they scored on their first possession of overtime to go up 14-7, and then held Poto in that game.
Our guy Cooper Cox had a big role there.
Sallisaw finished with 152 yards of offense and 5 first downs, and still won.
Yeah, on the stats that you sent over on that one, the yardage total discrepancy was really impressive. But it just shows you it's about being productive. And I love that quote you had in there from the Sallisaw coach. That Poto the Poto team can move all they want between the goal lines, but as long as you keep them out, that's all that matters. So
Well, and 2 interceptions helped, and then the block punt late. I think the block punt was with 2:45 left, set them up at their own 34 or at the Poto 34-yard line, scored with 26 seconds left. So obviously the 2 interceptions, both of which were deep in their territory to squelch drives, and then the block punt, which was just gigantic. And then volleyball, of course, state tournament's going on this weekend. The state championship games are Saturday at the Hot Springs Convention Center. And like you said, the 5A West cross-country meet in Alma is on Tuesday. And then in the 4A West meet, which just occurred, Emily DeFore of Waldron finished first in the girls, and Tegan Johnson of Waldron finished second in the boys in that division.
very good. Well,
And that's it. And that's it for the River Valley.
all right. Well, that's just. I mean, there's just so much going on, guys. Like I could barely even keep up with it all, and
No.
so and you know, you two guys are as we were talking right now on early Tuesday morning. We're having to go really early this morning because you guys have got to get out to volleyball, and
Yep.
just a crazy time. Just be sure and hit up the hospitality rooms and make sure and report in on what everybody's having.
We'll try to make time for that today.
All right, we're going to go to a break, and as we go to break, let's leave you with some video from Daniel Burton and Jeremy Strozier of Mansfield on their big win against Booneville this past week. This is Prep Rally.
What was kind of the key offensively?
I mean, really, we just wanted to do what we do every week, just stick to who we are. We knew we were the better team. We're more athletic. We're stronger. I know no one thought that. They're bigger. They've been doing it longer, but they said it was going to be a big brother beatdown, but we knew we were the big brother.
Did you guys get down or anything at halftime? What was kind of the mood at halftime?
We was all kind of tired, but we all had the momentum. They had the momentum in their way, but we stayed confident and was ready to come out and be on top.
And we're back with a special Halloween edition of the Prep Rally podcast. Graham Thomas, true Atlanta Braves fan, Rick Fires, who is all...
Just like a Saturday Night Live skit. Remember that? The Bears?
Yeah?
Yeah, that's
mean,
what I'm going by.
You're dressed up like you're ready to go to Soldier Field.
Absolutely.
Leland
Been
Barclay
there.
joined us in the River Valley. And, guys, it's time for the top 5 of Northwest Arkansas. So, Dick Buckus, why don't you go ahead and take it away for us?
You know what? I got to start off. That's got the game that's got everybody yapping across the state. And I wrap your head around this. You score 75 points in a football game, and you lose. You shouldn't score. You shouldn't lose 3 games by scoring 75 points. But Farmington 78, Morrilton 75. The 3rd highest scoring game in the history of Arkansas high school football. Our player of the week, Northwest Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, player of the week, junior quarterback, Ayden Lester, counted for 7 touchdowns. As a passer, he threw for 291 yards, 2 touchdowns. As a runner, Lester rushed for 145 yards and 5 touchdowns, including the game winner on 15 carries. They had to go 60. Imagine, the other teams got just took a 75-71 lead, I think. Yeah, 75. And then they had to go 63 yards. He guided them downfield, making all the plays. And then he went straight up the middle, 35 yards, for the winning touchdown. And then Farmington had to play a little defense just to hang on. But a ridiculous score, 78-75. Farmington win. They continue to roll.
Let's continue on
Well,
this one for just a second, because I know Leland spent his entire Sunday watching and rewatching that game, and I want to give a shout out to Maddox Berry of Morrilton. He's the Morrilton quarterback. He threw for over 700 yards and 11 touchdowns.
Wow.
And we're going to bring Leland in here on this one. Leland, I mean, you know, you're the stats guy for us, and I know you were just enthused and transfixed with this game here.
Maybe, I mean, a lot of people might have called it a stat nightmare. I called it just a stat fest. I mean, what a game. Both teams over 1,500 yards of offense. Maddox Berry was 39 of 60 for 746 yards, and of course the 11 touchdowns. I couldn't resist calling Coach Ty Saturday morning just to get his take on it. He answered the phone and said, Farmington defense coordinator, how can I help you? And then we started talking about Maddox Berry, of course, and he said he is the best quarterback that he's ever been on the field with, the same field with. Now, obviously, he hasn't seen everybody, but, he started coaching back in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And so for him to say that about Maddox Berry is just remarkable. And also Cody McNabb, the Morrilton coach, I talked to him a few weeks ago before they were going to play Alma, just as for a preview on the story, and asked him at that point about his quarterback. And he had thrown 6 touchdown passes against Texarkana earlier in the year. And I just kind of asked him about him, and he said he could be the best he's ever seen as well. And I said, wait a minute, you coach Jacoby Criswell? And he said, yeah, Maddox Berry is just remarkable. And just what a game that was, back and forth, 153 points, 14 or over 1,500 yards of offense. But it was funny, Coach Tice kind of pointed, he said, the funny thing about the game is that you look at 78-75, he said, but really it was about 3 defensive plays that was the difference in the game, because Bailey returned an interception for a touchdown, and then they had another key stop at one point in the game. So oddly enough, it was just a defensive play here or there that was the difference in a 78-75 game.
Hey, Leland, when I started reading about this in our paper, my mind automatically went to that Shiloh Christian Junction City game when Rhett Lashley was the quarterback for Shiloh Christian. They came back from, a 28, maybe 35-point deficit. Can you fill me in on that? Because I've had a few root beers since then. Can you fill me in on it? What year was that? You remember that game?
I remember it. Of course, that was, like you said, we woke up to the buzz on Saturday, or even some on Friday night, about this game. And that one was the same way. Of course, that was before all the social media. That was the same way because it actually delayed the game because a guy backed over the guy wire on a light pole and knocked the scoreboard out, so they had to keep the time on the field.
Oh, wow.
But that was a wild one. And then we think about a couple of the other high-scoring games. But this one being a conference game, of course, the Shiloh Christian game was a playoff game.
Yes.
But also, you think back to that Shiloh Christian Nashville game a few years ago at Shiloh Christian, when Nashville was within 1 point of applying the mercy rule, and Shiloh Christian came back and won that game.
Unbelievable. All right, moving on. Let's see. Hey, here's another big game. Bentonville continues to roll after their 0-3 start. Bentonville 56, Rogers 34. Man, ton of offensive performances in this game. Chris Ficklin, 32 carries, 179 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. Trevor Grant, the Bentonville quarterback, threw for 289 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also had some yards. Mason Hawkins gave Bentonville a quick spark. 3 catches, 80 yards, had a 57-yard rushing touchdown near the start of the game. Man, one of my favorite guys right here. You can't, even though they lost the game, got to give some props to Jeff Regan for Rogers. 159 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 28 rushing, at 265 yards rushing from your quarterback. 265-yard rushing. That's amazing. A lot of stats in that game. All right, let's go next to, here's one I picked wrong, 100% wrong. I thought Prairie Grove might bounce back after getting beat by Elkins. Nope. Gravette pounds them. Gravette 42, Prairie Grove 16. Gravette, man, I got to start giving them credit. Man, Gravette 8-0, 5-0, 4A1 conference sets up the showdown with Elkins, the top-ranked team in Class 4A. Gabe Holmes had 22 carries, 121 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. And, man, Prairie Grove just reeling. They were picked second by the coaches finishing the league. But, man, it looks like it's going to be between Gravette and Elkins. All right, the game I was at on Friday, Fayetteville 35, Springdale 21. I'm not going to fool anybody. It was a sloppy game, not well played. These guys have been playing 100 years. If you start ranking the top games, this isn't going to be nowhere near the top. But Fayetteville gets the win. 8 turnovers in the game, what I counted. But Fayetteville wins the game. 2 straight losses for Springdale after starting 6-0. And we got a basketball. Fill me in on my basketball, because basketball started last week.
Well, you're talking about our guy, Shepard Newcomb of Ozark Catholic.
Shep.
And his season debut went off for 54 points.
Wow.
And an overtime win against Valley Springs. And when you go off for 54 points in the season debut, that's really something, I think.
And those are 2 pretty good teams in that classification, are they not?
Oh, yeah, that was a really terrific early season matchup for I believe it's Class 2A now. A great performance by him, and I think we're going to hear a lot of his name throughout the rest of the year. I heard the coaches telling me about him. They said, man, if you're looking for some stars up here, you start with that guy. Yep. And
that might be a hard average to maintain, though.
Yeah, he only had
54.
like 18 or so the next night. I think they have a good team over there.
Oh man,
Ozark
all
Catholic.
downhill from there, right?
Yeah, that's right. So we'll move from there right into our Northwest Arkansas sports report, and to kind of piggyback on what Leland was talking about with just some of the events. The 6A West Conference cross country meet is this evening. Your typical teams that are really good, this thing's Rogers, Bentonville, Fayetteville, they'll all be really good. And so we'll see how that shakes out. And then we got state volleyball. So let's give you the rundown. The Class 6A state volleyball tournament is going to be at Springdale Harbor. That's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The semifinals are going to be at 5 and 7 p.m. That's across the board this year. It used to be at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. We had us a good, nice little conversation over our sports writers thread last week about the AAA and the principals making those changes. The semifinals used to be at 1 and 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Now, 5 and 7 o'clock. Give the fans a little bit more time to get out there. Just maybe some long trips. Late trips home for the winners that night. If they're able to get home, they may just have to go to Hot Springs.
And especially for the winners, yeah. Then they got to turn around and go to Hot Springs.
Tell you what, Rick, you might as well just pack for the whole week, because you're not going at home. You're just going straight to Hot Springs. So
I'll still be wearing what I'm wearing right here.
Class 6A, like I said, is at Springdale Harbor. Class 5A, Leland down there at Van Buren. I know you'll be floating between a few sites. Class 4A, Rick Fires. You know how to get to Huntsville, don't you?
Yeah, I'm headed there this afternoon.
Yep. Huntsville hosting the Class 4A with Northwest Arkansas teams, Prairie Grove and Gravette.
Yeah.
I had a nice story about that in the newspaper this morning by Paul Boyd.
Our man.
Class 3A is going to be at Paris, not Paris, France, Paris, Arkansas, home of the Eagles. Leland and our guy Kevin Taylor will be out there this week some. And then the Class 2A will be at Hackett. Our man Harold McIlvain will have coverage out there for an undefeated Hackett Lady Hornets team. And I tell you what, it's exciting. At the end of this week, only just a few teams are going to be left standing in Hot Springs in the state championship. And, I don't know if you've ever watched it on PBS, but they broadcast all the championship games, and Bobby Swafford and his team of folks do a great job over there and helping showcase these high school athletes on Arkansas PBS. And it's exciting. Championship weeks are always exciting. So,
when I first started in this business, like 40 years ago, I didn't like the volleyball, but man, they changed up the rules, made it more faster. And this is one of my favorite events to cover. There's hollering and screaming and back and forth and jumping and high-fiving. So I can't wait to get out there this afternoon to watch some really good female athletes get after it.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break, and as we go to break, we'll leave you with some video from the Rogers Bentonville game and also Prairie Grove Gravette. This is Prep Rally. And welcome back to the Prep Rally Podcast, sponsored by West Termite, Pest and Lawn. Dick Butkus and Greg Maddox with you, along with All-Star Barkley down there in the River Valley. And we're going to jump into who you got for this week, our weekly predictions. Man, it was a rough week for everybody. Everybody went 4-4 last week. There were
mediocre.
Yep.
Not
So we're still the standings are still pretty much the same. Just add 4 wins and 4 losses. But Rick Fires, you're still in the lead by 1 game, and Leland, you're trailing by 4 games or 3 games. I'm sorry. No, 4 games. I can't do the math, Rick.
It's too early in the morning.
Yeah, and I'm still working on a coffee over here. So, all right. So we'll start off with our River Valley game of the week in Class 3A. The Charleston Tigers at the Booneville Bearcats, the Franklin County feud. Man, this is a game I'd like to just go to. I'd like to, I love family feuds, so the Franklin County feud sounds like a good substitute for that. My take on this one, the Booneville Bearcats are going to come in a foul mood after losing at Mansfield last week, and I'm going to take the Booneville Bearcats to bounce back and get a win over Charleston. Rick Fires, who you got?
You know what? I was up in Sheboygan, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago. We sitting on some bratwurst and everything, tossing around. So I decided I'm going with the Bears.
I hear you.
All right, Booneville. I'll do Booneville if the Bears aren't involved.
Well, the Bearcats.
Okay, yeah, the Bearcats.
Same thing, right? Leland, who you got on this one?
Well, and actually, it's going to be in Logan County, and I am going to take the Bearcats of Logan County to bounce back this week. Even though Charleston's a very dangerous team with Carter Little, who's having a great year, I still think Booneville bounces back.
Logan County, the Franklin County.
Charleston's in Franklin County.
Ah, got it.
So it is a county feud. It's just 2 different counties.
Got it. Okay. Well, I need to work on my Arkansas geography.
There we go.
All right. Well, I know that this is a Northwest Arkansas feud, but it's not. It's another county versus county feud. So we're going to go to Class 4A Gentry of Benton County at Prairie Grove of Washington County. Leland, I'm going to start you off with this one. Who do you got in this one?
I'll tell you, I'm going to have to go with Gentry in this one.
You are, you're thinking the Prairie Grove Tigers are in a slide. Prairie Grove's going to be back at home, and I think they'll have something special lined up for the Gentry Pioneers. I'm not sure if Talon Williams is going to be back for Gentry just yet. I know he's on the road to recovery, but give me the Prairie Grove Tigers this week to bounce back finally. Rick Fires, who you got?
I'm going to go with Gentry. Prairie Grove's got to show me something. They hadn't done it the last couple of weeks.
Wow. Okay. And we'll stay with the Class 4A. This is an exciting 4A4 rivalry, Lamar at Ozark. So, Ozark has not been the team we thought they might be this year. Do they have anything left in them to beat the Lamar Warriors? I say they don't. Give me Lamar Warriors on the road to get a win. Rick Fires, who you got?
Same way. I got Lamar.
All right. Leland, who you got on this one?
Well, I know Lamar has Caleb Green back at quarterback, which is huge for them, over the injury-riddled Ozark Hillbillies.
All right. All of us are going to go with the Lamar Warriors. Coach Josh Jones. We all like him. He's a nice guy. And we all love Jeremy Burns and the beard, too. But they're just not Ozark's here this year. All right, down in the River Valley, Class 5A, Pea Ridge at Alma, a struggling Pea Ridge team, but they did get a win against Clarksville a couple weeks ago, and they got their first win of the year. Alma got their losing streak over with a win against Clarksville last week. So, man, I'm gonna go with the Alma Airedales to take care of the Blackhawks this week. Leland, who you got down there?
Yeah, I think Alma wins 2 in a row. They kind of bounced back, had a big game against Clarksville. I think they win this one to set up that big season finale against at home against Farmington.
Rick Fires, who you got?
I got Alma.
Alma. All right, we're going to set the stage for the Airedales in Week 10 to try and sneak into the postseason. Class 6A over across the mountains, Van Buren at Mountain Home. Man, it's really hard to make that trip over there. It's a long ways, and Van Buren's been up and down, up and down, up and down. So give me the Mountain Home Bombers. Rick Fires, who you got?
I got the Bombers as well.
And Leland, who do you have?
You know, this is a battle of 2 of the best running backs in the 6A West. Obviously, Cameron Keller having a fantastic season career, but boy, Jacob Chenoweth's having a fantastic year as well. And I think Mountain Home being at home is the difference in this game.
They've had a lot of good ball games here recently in recent years. So, Class 7A, this is a fascinating game and one that I'm actually really excited about. Fort Smith Northside at Bentonville West. Really, kind of the winner is in the driver's seat to make the playoffs. So, I'll start us off with this one. Bentonville West is kind of they've gotten a couple wins under their belts here the last couple weeks, including a win at Springdale Harbor, and they also beat Riders Heritage. I'm going to go with Bentonville West to keep rolling and to beat Fort Smith Northside. Rick Fires, who you got?
I'm going to go with Northside. They are disappointing against Harbor. Couldn't get the running game going. I think Northside wins this game, stay alive.
All right. Leland, who you got?
Well, it will be November on Friday, and you're right. The playoffs start for both of these teams, and I think Northside goes up there and has a very good game and keeps themselves alive for a playoff berth.
Oh, wow. They played in the playoffs last year. Really good ball game. West had a good year, and Northside had really struggled last year, and Northside could have beaten them last year. It was a very, very good game.
Yep.
So I expect it'll be a good one again. Class 7A, Bentonville running away with the 7A West right now. They make the trip down to Springdale, who's lost 2 in a row after a 6-0 start. I think I'll take the Bentonville Tigers to keep rolling in this one with balanced offense. Leland, who you got?
Absolutely. Last week, Bentonville, 268 rushing, 289 passing. That's kind of been a trademark of the Tigers, especially this year, and I think they keep that up with another 200 game.
All right, Dick Buckus, who you got in this one?
Third loss in a row for Springdale. Love them, but, man, they can't hang with Bentonville, so I got Bentonville.
All right. And our Northwest Arkansas game of the week in Class 4A, the Gravette Lions making the trip over to Elkins to face the Elkins Elks, 2 undefeated Class 4A teams. And with much love and respect to Gravette, they're having a great year. I think it's Elkins up here and everybody else. There's a drop, and Gravette's that first team there. Would love to be proven wrong, but I think Elkins just too much firepower for the Gravette Lions. But we'll see Friday night. Leland, who you got in this one?
I know you read off the records for our picks, and 2 of those losses for me stem from picking against Gravette. Well, I still can't go with them this week. Elkins is just that good, and I think that much ahead of everybody else. But we'll see how much, but I do think Elkins wins this game.
Elkins, the number 1 team in Class 4A. Rick Fires.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. They're number 1 for a reason. Elkins big in this game.
Okay. All right. Well, gentlemen, that look at those. The Rick Fires got the gloves going there. So
Bears, greatest team ever, except for the team that went undefeated, Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, we'll have you do, is it the Super Bowl shuffle or?
Yeah, I can do that.
And the rap song. All right. Well, guys, that wraps up another Prep Rally podcast for this week. I'd like to thank our sponsor, West Termite Pest and Lawn. happy Halloween to everyone out there. Be sure and check the candy and make sure everything's all packaged up and nice. And send all the quarters and the dollar bills up this way. And
All the leftovers, I'll take them.
yeah, I'm sure there'll be plenty of candy around this place.
Yeah.
So for Leland Barclay in the River Valley, for Dick Buckus, a.k.a. Rick Fires here in Northwest Arkansas, this is Graham Thomas signing off. We love you.